All right, so today we're actually going to be using the equation to pull out pieces we need, like the vertex. Where's my pen? The vertex, the focus, the axis of symmetry, and the directrix. We're also going to be able to pull out that p-value, so we can find all those. So I want you to recall from yesterday, we had parabolas that opened up and down. Remember, those were your x squared, so x minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. So that was our ones that open up and down. Then we had our ones that open left and right, our y squared, y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. So those are your two formulas, up and down, left and right. You want your equation to look like one of these. Okay, so notice here you have your squared term alone. You have your squared term alone. That's what you want to do. Okay, and we'll deal with that after. So here I want to get this squared term alone. I'm going to add 1. So you got y plus 1. And you might think it's alone, but you've got to divide by that negative 1. So when I divide by that negative 1, I'm actually just going to bring it out front, or multiply by negative 1. I'm going to bring it out front. Y plus 1 equals x plus 3 squared. So now we have our squared term, and then we have our 4p y minus k. So now that we have it in that format, and if you want to flip-flop those, that's fine. We can pull out our pieces. We'll start with vertex. That's the easiest one to pull out. Our x was negative 3. Our y was negative 1. Now to do anything else, you have to be able to find your p term. So we know that 4p, right, that's part of our equation. 4p equals, where's our equation? Here it is, negative 1. So to solve, just divide both sides by 4, you get negative 1/4. So that means that tells us we're opening, x is up and down, right? Our x squared is up and down. P is negative, we know we're opening down. So we can find our focus and our directrix. Now your focus, if you look at yesterday's notes, you should see what happens for your focus and your directrix. But you'll notice if you're opening up and down, wherever your vertex is, your focus and your directrix should be above or below that. So we're actually going to be changing our y coordinate, and we're going to be adding p to it. So it's whatever your y coordinate is plus p. So here my h was negative 3. My k was negative 1, and we're going to add p to it, so we want to add negative 1/4. So we're going to have negative 3, and we're going to do a little, negative 1 is negative 4/4, minus 1 more makes negative 5/4. So hopefully we're good with fractions. So there's my focus, my directrix. That's next. So again, you've got to think of which direction you're opening. We're opening down, so you're going to have a line above or below it. That's your directrix. Now that line is going to be a line y equals, and we're actually going to subtract. So we added to find our focus. We're going to subtract p. So we want k minus p to find out where that directrix is. So k was negative 1 minus p was negative 1/4. And again, we're going to do a little mental math here. So we have y equals. Minus negative is going to be plus. So we have negative 4/4 plus 1/4 makes negative 3/4. And we should be able to graph now. So we know our vertex is at negative 3, negative 1. There's my vertex. We know our directrix is at negative 3/4. Y equals negative 3/4. So it's like right above that. And it's an estimate. So notice it's 1/4 away. Again, a fourth away is going to be my focus, and we're going to open away from that directrix. All right, next one. So here, again, you see your y squared, so we want to make it look like this. So the only thing standing in our way is that -1/4 right now. So I'm actually going to multiply this side by -4 to get rid of it, which means I have to multiply this side by -4. So we'll have -4x. When you multiply by -4, -1/4 times -4 gets you +1. And then you'll have y plus 2 squared. So we're good. We got it in our format. We're going to go ahead and pull out the information we need. So we need a vertex. Remember, that's your h and your k. So x, I don't see anything here. All right, x minus h, x minus 0. Y minus -2. So there's our vertex. Now again, you have to get that p-value. So understand, p is whatever's with your x in this case. So we have 4p, and in this case we're -4. Divide both sides by 4, p equals -1. That's a negative. -1. Let's find our focus and our directrix. So again, think about what's happening. Think about what's happening. This is our y squared, so it's opening left or right. -1 tells us it's opening to the left. It's opening to the left. So when you're graphing, your focus and your directrix, you're going to be moving your x coordinate. So for your focus, you want to add p to your x coordinate. Again, k stays the same. So what do we got? H was 0 plus -1, and then k was -2. So our focus is going to be at -1, -2. And then for your directrix, think about it, we're opening to the left. So your directrix is going to be a line, x equals, and we want to subtract our p-value. All right, we added it to find our focus, we're going to subtract it to find our directrix. So we have h is still 0, and p is still -1, but we want to say minus -1. So we have x equals 1. There's our directrix. I feel like we're good to graph. So we're going to graph it, 0, -2. There's my vertex. My focus is at -1, -2, and my directrix is at x equals 1. Again, vertex to directrix is 1, vertex to focus is 1. So there's that p-value that we were talking about. And we're going to open to the left, away from that directrix. And we're good. Now, I did forget to talk about axis of symmetry, so we're going to kind of backtrack a little bit. Axis of symmetry. Axis of symmetry goes through your vertex, so it's the line of symmetry to your graph. So in this case, it's going to be the line x equals 3, and you can get that just by looking at your graph. Here, it's going to be the line y equals, so axis of symmetry is the line y equals -2. So just whatever chops your graph in half. Now also understand it was my y coordinate. In this one, it was my x coordinate. That should totally be a -3. Sorry. I think I said it but didn't graph it. All right, moving on. We are going to skip down. We'll look at number 3. So this one actually looks like it's already in the format we need. We have our y term alone. We have our 4p value. So we're going to go ahead and pull what we need. Vertex, pull it out. 3, -5. We know 4p equals -1/3. So divide both sides by 4 or multiply by a 4th. All right, same thing. So you get -1/12. So we know y tells us it's opening, sorry, left or right. This tells us to the left. Let's do our focus. Remember, you're going to add it to that x value. So we're going to have 3 plus negative 1/12 gets us 35 over 12. And k was negative 5. So 3 plus negative 1/12. 3 is 36/12 minus 1/12 gets us 35/12. Directrix is x equals h minus p. So we have h is 3 again, minus p minus negative becomes plus 1/12. So here 36/12 plus 1/12 makes 37/12. And this is going to be a very, x equals. This is going to be a very tiny graph here. So we're at 3, negative 5. And then we're going to go up and down a 12th. So up a 12, down a 12. Oh, I lied. Let me erase those. No, come back. Let me erase those real quick. Sorry, it was left and right. We're going to go left and right at 12. That sounds better. Left and right at 12. We already said we're opening to the left, so there's our directrix. And there's our parabola. All right, last one. So we're actually going to go to number 5. I want to spend a minute on number 5. We got to get this in the right term. So we're going to get this x squared alone. We're going to get it with x. I lied. So we're going to add 2x squared to both sides. I'm going to leave that 4x there. I'm going to subtract the 3y. All right, so you actually have to complete the square. To complete the square, we're going to divide everything by 2 first. Remember, completing the square, you have to add something to both sides. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, 1 squared is 1. So we're going to add 1 to both sides. So this becomes x plus 1 squared. And this becomes negative 3/2 y minus 6. Now we do have to get our 4p term out. So x plus 1 squared. I want to get that y alone, so I'm going to take out a negative 3/2. That's going to become plus. So 6 divided by 3/2 is the same as 6 over 1 times 2/3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And now we can pull out our stuff. So vertex is -1, -4. Your focus, I lied. We're going to do our 4p first. Let's go ahead and erase that. Here we go. We know 4p equals -3/2. Divide by 4 or multiply by 1/4. That's a 2. You get -3 over 8. So we have x squared, which tells us up and down. This tells us it's opening down. We're going to do our focus. I'm running out of time. We have h, k plus p. So h was -1. And then k plus p gets you -35 over 8. So hopefully you're good with those fractions. Directrix is y equals k minus p. So you have -4 minus negative becomes plus 3/8. So that's -32 plus 3 gets us -29 over 8. And you can graph. Hopefully I can get it done in time. -1, -4. We know we're opening down, so we go down 3/8, up 3/8. There's our directrix, and it opens down. All right, guys,